The Yamaha MT-09 is the best bike on the market for your second bike. Here's why. This video is for riders that are looking to take their bike to the next level. I'm going to walk you through this so that you can be confident that you're making the right decision. This is my 2023 Yamaha MT-09. I've been riding it for 2 years and put over 4,000 miles on it. Here's what I've learned. Just a few of the modifications I've made are the race fit full exhaust system, a DNA air filter kit, Woodcraft clip-on style handlebars, Woodcraft rear sets, a BT Moto ECU flash, Pooch chain tensioners, Pooch windscreen, and also the Pooch lever protectors. Domino grips. I went up 2 teeth on the rear sprocket with a Vortex steel 47 tooth rear sprocket. I have a quad lock charging mount with vibration dampener and Pooch spools. I think that's about all the upgrades I've done to it. I'll try to put links for everything in the bio so that you guys know exactly what all I used on everything. And I think that's about everything for as far as mods wise goes. If I think of something else, I'll put it on further on in the video. And yeah, so now I'm gonna get suited up and we'll go out for the actual riding part. I want to do a riding vlog on this where I give you guys my viewpoint on it while I'm actually riding the bike. Yeah, so we'll go from there. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, so who's this video for? Basically this video is for somebody that is, I would say this is somebody that's like well, it could be an experienced rider, but I see a lot of videos for people that are, you know, putting out guides for people that are looking for a beginner bike as far as like their first bike, stuff like that, but I don't see too many people talking about, like the second bike, or you know, what do you do when you're getting ready to upgrade. And most people don't talk about that. I guess they figure that once you've been riding for a little bit, you know what you want and all that kind of stuff. So, as I said earlier in the intro, I wanted to put a video out that why I think the MT-09 should be your second bike or your upgrade bike, whether you've been riding for a couple of years, whether you've been riding for a long time and you're just not thinking about upgrading your bike. So I just wanted to talk about that. Some of the things that brought me to really consider the MT-09 was initially, and things change. After 2 years of riding it, I've changed things on the bikes. I've changed personally, stuff like that. So it's not always going to stay exactly the same. But originally, when I first got it, I was coming from the world of riding Harleys for quite a few years, and I was worried I wasn't going to be comfortable on a metric bike that didn't have really leggy room and comfortable controls. Coming from a straight touring bike, I didn't know how I was going to like it. So everybody was talking about how comfortable this bike is and how the ergonomics were really comfortable and friendly and everything. So I have to say that that was probably one of the big things that first brought me to this bike, along with the other thing is everybody was like, it's a torque machine, which I didn't know for the longest time that the MT and the MT series is for master of torque. So everybody's like, yeah, they're torquey, they're really fast, off the line, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So that was the other thing. I was looking for something. I've been riding Harleys and baggers and all this kind of stuff for quite a few years. And I was just looking for something, that had more power, that was a little bit more performance oriented. And so I started looking into it, and man, I'm so glad I did, because I'm completely blown away with this bike. Not saying it's perfect, but so one of the big things that that I have to say is for when I say a beginner rider or a new, let's say beginner rider, because when I say a new rider, that's like somebody, I'd say that's more somebody looking for their first bike or something along those lines. And I want this to be more, like your next bike or your upgrade type of thing. So, all right, so we covered ergonomics and power, performance. A couple other things that that drew me to the bike was reliability. So obviously, not only is Yamaha's known for their reliability, but the motor that's in this bike, the CP3, it's tried and tested. It's been in Yamahas for quite a few years. I didn't look up the specs. I'm not going to get heavy into specs. Like, it takes 2 seconds, especially with AI nowadays, to punch in a year, make, and model of a bike, and it'll give you every single spec that you can think of. I just want to give real world feel of how the bike feels, what I like about it, that kind of stuff. So reliability, I've been riding it for a couple of years now, and 0 issues at all. Changed the oil. Probably gonna have to put some new tires coming up here in a little while. Yeah, so reliability, amazing. And like I was saying, kind of the whole point of this video is it's beginner friendly. And so a lot of people are going to be like, what? A 900cc, you're crazy. That's not a beginner bike. It's not a new rider bike. I'll say that. If you're looking for your first bike, this isn't the bike for you. Unless you have a lot of experience, and then I wouldn't consider you a new rider if you grew up riding dirt bikes your whole life and you've got a bunch of experience. I mean, because that automatically takes you past being a new rider. When I'm talking about a beginner rider, I'm talking somebody that's been riding, let's say, under 2 years. And so they're out riding the bike, they're riding their bike, their 300, 400, even 500 cc bike, and it's, it's still fun and they love it, but they're just looking for a little something more. So they're like, all right, well, what should I get next? This is definitely a beginner-friendly bike. And the reason why I say that, I wouldn't have said this before I got the bike. Because of the electronics suite that's on this bike, you have drive modes, traction control modes, wheelie modes, all this stuff that it does. And because of that, I kind of figured it out, and kind of what gave me the thought for this video, as far as this being your second bike, is I was out riding it one day and I had forgot that I had, when I hooked up all my battery tender and my quad lock stuff for my battery charging and all that stuff, I forgot that I had unhooked the battery. Well, when you unhook the battery, it resets everything back to the highest setting. So ride mode, drive mode 4, traction control mode 4, everything. Well, I wasn't paying attention. I was getting ready for work, hopped on it. I was on my way to work and I was just like, man, what is the deal with this thing? It didn't have as much power. It just, it was like, just felt sluggish. And then I realized what I had done, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's because I got the drive mode on, all the way turned up, traction control all the way turned up, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, now that makes sense. So then I started thinking about it. I was like, wow, if I was getting ready to upgrade a bike and get my next bike, this would be amazing, because it's like bikes aren't cheap, and so you start looking around and you're like, man, I don't want to buy a bike and then like with your first bike, a couple of months to a year after you buy it, you're kind of like, all right, I'm kind of ready for the next thing. And so, like, all right, so what can you do about that? So, because I was thinking about it, and before I bought this, I'd always say, oh yeah, start with like a MT-03 or a R3, and then work your way up to an MT-07 or an R7, and then on up to a 9 or a 10, or an R1, or just work your way up. But then once I rode this bike, and I found that how much the electronics kind of took a lot of that, the snappiness and the just raw power out of it. I was like, man, I would totally tell somebody to get this as their second bike, because you can handle it. It's not a handful. Now when you take all the modes off and everything, if you don't know what you're doing, it is a handful. It's super torquey. The front wheel will come off the ground, when you're not really planning on it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So those are definitely some things, as far as being beginner friendly, that I think that's what I mean when I say beginner friendly. Alright, so just to recap, main things: power, performance, reliability. I didn't hit commuting. That's one thing I didn't hit, that I was going to touch base on. I commute on this bike. I live about an hour away from work, so it's an hour there, hour back. I work 12-hour shifts. And so I commute on this bike. It's either this or my Harley Bagger. One of those two are my two bikes that I mainly commute on. But this is slowly becoming my main commuter bike. I really like the bike. It's super comfortable to me. So power, performance, reliability, versatility. It's a super versatile bike, and it's beginner friendly. So those are the main points. Now, what things I don't love, and there's not a lot, but there are a couple of things. One, it's not really a con of the bike. It's just, it is what it is. So I call it the jack of all trades, master of none. So this bike is great at, I'll say it's really good at a lot of things, but it's not super great, or it's not what I would consider like, let's see, how can I put this? All right, so the best way I can put this is my Aprilia RSV4. It's a super bike. It's not comfortable. It's not super comfortable. It's not a good commuter bike. Like, I can list all the things that it's not good at. What it is good at is being a super fast track / performance riding motorcycle. So it has its one thing that it does super well. Now, it's a good bike for a lot of things. I'm not saying that it's not a good bike. The thing I'm saying is it's really good at what it's designed to be. I find with the MT-09 that the only thing I would say is that depending on what you want to do with it, it kind of takes, you have to kind of specialize it for what you want. Because as it comes stock, if you're one of those people that just, you ride stock bikes and you don't care and whatever, that's cool. What I'm talking about is, like, I find that with this bike, depending on what you're planning on doing with it, you're probably going to have to do some things to make it specialize into what you want it to do. So I use it for commuting, but I'm one of those weird people. I'm trying to make it do multiple things, so I'm never going to get peak performance for those areas. And what I mean by that is, like, if I really wanted it to be a straight up comfortable commuter bike, I wouldn't have put, I would have put more comfortable, rear sets on it. I would have put more comfortable bars on it. I'd have put a bigger windscreen on it. I would have put some rails on it so that I could throw some bags on there. If it was something that, like, I straight up wanted to, like, make into a performance bike and, super hooligan it out, then I could have done that and gone all out, put straight up clip-ons on it, all different kind of stuff like that, and straight performance. Kind of what I've done is kind of in the middle. I've done a lot of upgrades on it. I'll cover that all the upgrades that I've done to this bike in a separate video section of this video, and I'll just run through everything that I've done on it. So what I've done to it is made it more performance, because I actually have taken this on a track before, but I didn't want to straight track it out, because I still do use it for commuting. So it's not 100% a track bike, but it's not a commuter bike either, because 100%, because I didn't make it comfortable to where that was like my main focus. I didn't try to make it a super comfortable touring bike and put bags and all that kind of stuff on it. So I guess that's the point I'm getting at, is that like I didn't make it to where it's 100% great at either of those things. So hopefully you get my point. So it's a jack of all trades, but it's a master of none. It's not amazing at one thing. It's really good at a lot of different things. And that can be a good thing. Like some people might actually look at that as a if all you can afford is one bike and you kind of want it to be good at a lot of different things, this might be exactly what you're looking for. So for me personally, it's not, because I have multiple bikes. So it's like if I want bags and I want to go super long distance, I have a Harley bagger. So and then if I'm looking for a straight performance bike, I have my Aprilia. And then I also have an old shovel head, and that thing's just its own that thing's just its own category all in itself. I work on that more than I ride it. So but anyway, the only other real con I have on this bike is the seat. The stock seat sucks. I haven't changed it yet. That's probably one of the next things I'm gonna actually sink some money into. It's super flat, so like when you're trying to because like when I get on the freeway and and I'm fighting the wind, I like try to tuck in a little bit more, and so you kind of slide back. Plus you try to stay off the tank, so that you have more maneuverability and everything. So, but it's just a flat plank of a seat, so that you can't really tell where you're at on the seat. It's just kind of like you're just kind of there. So it's kind of hard to decide where you're at. And then on top of that, it's super slick. So like anytime you hit the brakes hard, it automatically just slides you forward. I noticed that the first time when I took it on the track, is because you come into a corner and you're all setting back. That's where I realized trying to figure out where you're at, going backwards was hard, to stay in the same spot and be able to regulate where you're at. But then every time I'd hit the brakes, if I didn't like clamp onto the tank, I would slide all the way forward. And it was just kind of like, oh my God, So yeah, so that's the only other thing. Plan on putting a different seat on it. There's not a lot out there that I've found for seats. I was kind of looking more for something that like was more of a performance seat. The only ones I've really found are like comfort distance seats and stuff like that. So I decided that that's why I haven't got one, because I've spent money on this bike modding it. And that's one of those things. I kind of found one at Corbin Seats that I might end up getting, but I don't know. I haven't 100% decided yet. So that's pretty much it for the pluses and minuses, or the pros and cons for you. So things to know about this bike: if you're looking for a bike that's city riding, in and out of traffic, that kind of stuff, this is where the MT-09, this is its wheelhouse. It's a hooligan bike. It's a naked bike. It's not super wide. It's super flickable. Even though it's one of the bigger bikes in the Yamaha lineup, it doesn't feel like it when you're on it and you're riding it. It thrives in an urban environment. Here in California, I do a lot of lane splitting, stuff like that. So for that kind of stuff, it's pretty awesome. As far as highway goes, I've already kind of touched on that a little bit in this video. I put a little wind jammer. I got a Pooch. I finally looked it up. It's pronounced Pooch. It's P-U-I-G, but it's Pooch, like a little dog. So, yeah, finally figured that out. I've been using a lot of their stuff, and yeah. So anyway, I got a little wind jammer on here, and believe it or not, it does help considerably when you get on the freeway. Because when I first got the bike, before I got that on there, like once you get up, especially around here in on the freeways and stuff, I mean the flow of traffic's doing 80, so you're going to be going in between 75 and 85 most of the time, and it just, like, the wind just beats you up. So, like, I didn't want to put a big windscreen on it, because they make bigger, taller ones, but I think personally they did it look kind of goofy. So I didn't want to go with that route. Once again, like I said, I wasn't setting it up to be a commuter bike. If I was, then yeah, I would have put one of those bigger windscreens on it or whatever. But I just wanted something that still looked sporty but gave me something. But for me to be able to feel that, I have to kick back on the seat and literally tuck down in like this. And then it's actually quite noticeable. It gets a lot of the wind off your upper body and off your head. You just get tucked in. Granted, once you're doing that, it's not as comfortable riding because you're not in your more upright riding position. So you're going to feel it in your back and your hips, the legs, all that kind of stuff. So I say that, like, if that's a huge deal to you, get something. Maybe you should look at getting like an R9 if the wind really bothers you. If you're not as worried about the wind and you're more worried about being comfortable sitting upright, this is the bike for you. If you want something with more wind protection and you want to be able to tuck in behind it really good, go with something like the R9 or something like that, or something with a full fairing. But yeah, so it just depends on what you want to do with it. I guess I should turn here. I know most of these roads, but I usually have my GPS on it. I'm not using it, so I'm just kind of winging it right now. But anyway, so yeah, so it's not a if you're going to spend most of your time on the freeway and you're going to be bothered by getting buffeted by the wind, which a lot of people are, then I don't know. Just depends on what's important to you. As far as like long distance, like I said, you could modify this to where it could be a long distance bike if you put the moved the rear sets down a little bit, put some more comfortable bars on it, put some more comfortable bars on it, higher windscreen. But then at that point, I feel like you're going to be turning it in more to more of like an adventure bike, or not really an adventure bike because you can't take it off-road, but so I guess it's one of those things where, like, yeah, so you'd be modifying the bike to that specific use, kind of like what I was saying earlier. So as far as beginner riders, I think the only thing that a beginner rider might get a little confused with is it does have, because of the electronics, which are a huge help and can make it beginner friendly as far as operating the bike, as actual riding portion, it can be a little bit much to take, you know, to get used to what all the different stuff means. I mean, you're still, you know, kind of getting used to riding and learning how to be a good rider, and then you start throwing drive modes and traction control and lift control and, you know, 6-axis EMU or SMU or whatever the hell that thing's called. You start throwing all these different things at you, and then having to set it all up. It might take you a little bit of work to figure it out and go, oh, okay, I get it now. So if there's any drawback to a beginner rider, it would be that. One of the few things that it's kind of weird is the gas gauge. I'll try to get in close. It's got 3 little squares and then a big square. And so I've never ran it to where, like, I thought I was going to run. Well, I got pretty close, I felt like, because the gas light came on. I only had 1 square and there was no gas in around anywhere, so I was like kind of sweating until I got to the gas station because I wasn't sure exactly how far I could go. Yeah, so it's kind of weird because, like, it won't move forever, and then once that first big square drops off, then it seems like those last 3 squares go pretty quick. So if you'll take off from home, you're like, oh yeah, I got a full tank, and then it drops that first block, yeah, you ain't got a full tank, and it's not going to be anywhere far as you think it's going to be, because it's going to start dropping those. It's going to start dropping those pretty quick. So it's not a huge thing. I mean, hey, at least it has a freaking gas gauge, which is more than I can say for my RSV4, which was total shocker for me that premium of a bike didn't have a gas gauge, but you know, hey. So, kind of wrapping this up, the overall pros, I think, honestly, bang for your buck, I think this is one of the best bikes on the market. You literally could buy this and never have to buy another bike unless you wanted to. Because of the versatility, and because of, you know, if you do a few things, you can really dial it into what you want it. It's not pigeonholed into one specific thing. So, and for the price point on it, if you look around, you can get really good deals on these things. This was a 23, or it is a 23. I bought it in 2024. It was a leftover bike. They were trying to get rid of it. I think at the time the brand new ones were like 95 or 9700 or whatever they were, and they had this one on marked down for they had this one marked down for $7,500, and all day long, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think you could beat it. For $7,500, I don't think you could beat it. So, and then, like I said, the versatility of it, like I've got it kind of like my little Frankenstein bike going on. You know, I got it set up where I can take it to the track if I want to, but it's not as comfortable as it could be. But then I also have it set up to where I can still ride it to work and commute on it and still be comfortable. So yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, like when you're looking for a second bike, like you're wanting to upgrade from that first bike, I highly recommend you looking into it. You're not going to be disappointed. It's an amazing bike. A little bit of gravel there. recap, whoop, helps to keep your clutch in. So to recap the cons list, it's kind of weird because it can be, like I said before, it can be a con or a plus, depends on how you look at it. The con is I think to actually make this to where it's super good at what you want it to be, you have to mod it. It's a great bike, but to make it super good or an excellent bike for something specific, if you have it in mind, you're gonna have to mod it, which is not bad. I think, to me personally, that's half the fun of owning a bike. I think that's kind of a part of it, is kind of a holdover or sorry. had to get that out of my system. Can't get on the bike without ripping it at least once. But like, and that's, you know, kind of goes right into that thing. Like, this bike is so much fun because you can do so much with it. So great versatility, really good bang for the buck. You're gonna get your money's worth on this bike. Great second bike for a new rider that's stepping up and getting their next bike, but doesn't want to outgrow something real quick. Just make sure you put the drive modes and the traction control modes and all that stuff as high as it'll go, and then as you get comfortable with the bike, you can lower it down. Cons, needs mods. Wind buffeting, if you do a lot of freeway riding, is gonna get old, and the stock seat sucks. So that's my overall cons and pros and cons list. So the bike what makes this a great choice, if you're a rider that's looking for a second bike, I know I'm kind of beating that into the ground, but that's kind of the point I'm trying to get across in this video, is that that's what I'm wanting you to understand, is that this is, I think, and I know I'm biased because it's my bike, but for being a bike, a second bike, it's hard to beat. And then for a rider that's looking for a commuter bike, but still wants to have the power and performance and still wants to be able to play around with it and stuff, so the two riders that I would say probably would not be interested in this bike, or this isn't the bike for them, would be if you're looking for a straight up comfort cruiser style bike, then this isn't the one for you. It's going to be without heavily modifying it, I wouldn't take this on a super long trip. Of course, like I said, I have multiple bikes, so I'm fortunate in that area. So, but yeah, I would still say, if that's your main focus, if you're planning on doing long trips, then I think there's honestly better bikes on the market for that specific thing. And if you're a brand new rider, if you're a new rider and you're looking for your first bike, I wouldn't recommend this bike. Even with it muted, it's a lot of bike. It's a bigger size wise, which, like I said, once you get rolling, you don't really feel it. But when you're in slow speeds, you know, you can feel the size, and when you look down, I mean, it's got a big tank. It's pretty huge. So yeah, I think there's definitely better bikes to start out with for your first bike, but I think you would have a hard time finding a bike that's a better second bike or an upgrade bike. So if you're looking for a versatile bike that can kind of do everything good, I would say that this one's a hard one to beat.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel and keeps you updated on all our latest content.